Hello everyone and welcome back to Magnus Carlsen's never-ending quest to reach the ELO of 2900. It's a very nice game from the 37th European Club Cup where Magnus with the white pieces faces Pentala Harikrishna, and I didn't even have to change Magnus's rating as I messed it up yesterday. As you've seen, Christopher, you had a rating of 2856 while playing, yeah, sorry about that. So let's check out the game. It's a very nice one, features very nice positional moves and a very nice pause the video moment. So Magnus has the white pieces and he opens with c4. He goes for the English opening. Sorry about that. And Hari replies with pawn to e5, the King's English variation. g3 by Magnus, we have pawn to c6 and now bishop, pawn to d4, striking in the center, and bishop to b4. We have bishop to d2, blocking check, bishop captures, queen captures, and now just pawn to d6. We have knight to c3, knight to f6, and now knight to f6, and now grabbing the full center with pawn to e4. We have castles by Hari, and now there is a game where bishop to g2 played. It was played in 1992 in the Hungarian Championship between Gabor Kala and Pentala. But here we have knight g to e2 by Magnus, and it is now as of move 8 that we have a completely new game. So here, what can Hari do? Of course, he strikes with b5. And it makes it possible, even though Magnus is defending it twice, the knight is also stuck guarding the e4 pawn. So if you want to capture on b5, that's fine, but you can only do it once. So Magnus plays captures, and now pawn to a3, preventing pawn to b4. We have a5 now, preparing pawn to b4, and now bishop to g2, putting another defender to the e4 pawn. So now capturing on b5 is a threat, but instead of defending it, Hari just goes bishop b7 and adds another attacker to the e4 pawn. And here Magnus just castles, saying that b4 is not a problem. Even though you can dislodge the knight, you will not be able to win any material, but it definitely is a move. So Hari plays it, pawn to b4, attacks the knight. We have captures, and now just knight to d5, blocking the bishop's attack over the e4 pawn. Knight captures on d5, we have e captures on d5, and now queen to b6. Defending the b4 pawn and putting more pressure on the center here. Magnus trades off a pair of rooks, captures, and now d captures on e5. We have d captures on e5, and now once all of this trading has been accomplished, the material is completely even. Both players a rook, knight, and bishop, and a queen, same amount of pawns, and now Magnus has a passed d pawn. So definitely white is to be preferred here, and Magnus just shows us how chess is played here. He plays pawn to g4. Sort of weakening the king side, but also a very important positional idea, stopping any advancements like f5 and h5, and also clearing the g3 square for the knight. So once the g3 knight comes to g3, then it can come to f5, to h5, to e4, to f6, to, well, many good squares. So here, knight to d7, we have knight to g3, and now pawn to g6. And while this pawn to g6 move does prevent knight to f5 and knight to h5, it also weakens the f6 square. So now Magnus will just put a knight on e4 and have very nice control over the f6 square. Rook to c1, not going behind the passed pawn, but occupying the open c file. Rook to d8, putting pressure on the passed pawn, and now knight to e4. And now, as long as this knight is here, you can't really move the knight on d7, otherwise knight to f6 will be just, devastating. If something like d6 happens, block the queen's defense of the f6 square, knight f6, queen h6, all of a sudden it could all go very wrong. So here, Hari just trades off a pair of knights. And Magnus goes for it. Knight captures, queen captures, and now this very nice rook to c5. The rook is now added as a defender of the d5 pawn, and now the queen can move and go after the e5 pawn. So queen b6, attacking the rook, and now just queen to e3, defending the rook and putting pressure on the e5 pawn. Okay, for the moment you can't capture it as you have to defend the rook, but it's very hard to actually find a move for black. So here we have queen to a7, just keeping the pressure, and Magnus plays queen to c1, with ideas of maybe playing rook to c8, trading off the rooks. So bishop to b7, taking off the c8 square from Magnus's rook, and now pawn to h4. Now Magnus wants to play pawn to h5, pawn to h6, grab hold of the dark squares as they have been weakened, and then put pressure on the black king. So queen to b6, h5, and now this very interesting pawn to h6, where you really have to wonder if it's possible to capture on h6, because what if queen captures? Okay, you lose the rook, but isn't black just getting checkmated? It's a very cool line that we have to explore, because obviously both of them have calculated it. So if queen captures on h6, queen captures on c5, okay, you grab the rook, h captures, f captures, and queen captures with check. King to f8, how to continue this? If you just play queen to f6 check, king e8, and the king will escape. So here the move to find is pawn to d6, taking away the e7 square from the black king, and also threatening to pick up the bishop on b7. And here best would be a rook captures, attacking the queen, queen f5 check, king g7, now you pick up the bishop, and now the problem is there's queen to c1 check, king to g2, and queen f4. If not for this, it would be actually okay to play this with white, but now you don't have any checks, you kind of have to trade queens, otherwise g4 is hanging as well. And that's all there is to it. Once captures happens, the endgame is completely winning for black. For example, king f3, just rook d2, you go after the pawns, and now you don't carry. If pawn to b3, you're just going to check the king, capture here, create a pass b pawn, and if king captures, then just captures here with check king e3, rook captures on b2, again, completely winning for black. So after h6, Magnus just goes queen to e3, and here you have to really figure out how to go about this position. Rook to d6 is best, just adding another defender here. But Hari played g captures on h5, sort of thinking that maybe Magnus will automatically recapture, but there is something better, something that allows Magnus to push this game for the win. So feel free to pause the video and try to find this idea while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on not recapturing or even playing bishop to e4, as those are very interesting moves. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is rook to c8. That's a move. Seemingly offering your rook, but not really, because the black queen is hanging. And the problem is, if the black queen captures on e3, there's a nice Zwischenzug, rook captures on d8 with check, and after king g7 f captures, you're just up a full rook. So what can Hari play here? Well, he goes for the only thing he does have, that's moving the queen somewhere. He plays queen to d6, he needs to keep an eye on the rook, and now there's rook captures, queen captures, and now not queen captures on e5, but rather queen captures on h6, showing that capturing on d5 is impossible, because then queen to d2 will just pin the bishop, and well, that's game. The problem for Hari here is that there's no better move. If you play something like h captures on g4, bishop to e4, and now bishop h7 will end the game. There's no defense against this. So after queen captures on h6, he actually does go for this bishop captures on d5 move, just grabbing a few pawns for the bishop. But now if it's winning, then it's winning. If it's not, it's not. So here Magnus plays queen to d2. Now he will win the bishop. H captures on g4, and now just going for queen captures on d5, saying that the endgame is completely winning for him. Hari does trade, captures, not trading isn't any better. King g7, now king to g2, pawn to f5, and now king to g3. We have king to f6, king to h4, and now pawn to e4, as the bishop is preventing the king from going here, and the king prevents the black king from going here. So pawn to e4, bishop to c6, with king to e5, and now just king to g3. Again, if you push, then king captures on g4. So king d4, king to f4, king to d3, now king captures on f5, e3, and now just f captures on e3. And the problem is you can't play g3 because the bishop covers the g2 square, so that pawn is not going anywhere. So here king captures on e3 was played, but now just pawn to b3, and he was in this position on move 43 that Pentala Harikrishna resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. a few more moves can be played. For example, king d3, you can go after the pawn, but after king captures on g4 and king c3, Magnus would just play bishop d5, guard his pawn, and that's it. Black has no moves. You can just, move your king around. The white king will go all the way here, capture the pawn, move the king, and then advance the passed b pawn to win the game. So who wins the game? Of course, the b pawn. That's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Magnus on his quest to reach 2900. It's not easy. He has 2 wins and 1 draw, but still he didn't even gain 1 full rating point, I think, or they just didn't update it. I checked like before making the video, but it still says like that Magnus is on plus 0.9. Yeah, so very very slow progress. But it's one quest that you can have for a lifetime, so it's not a bad one. That's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to wish a very happy birthday to Alessandro. That's not a Alessandro, that's Alessandro. So hope you had a good one. And I would like to thank Ante Venma, EH Music, Jose Palacio, and Chris Malan for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions, such as this one, and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.